All right, welcome everybody. Welcome to another episode of the School of Serenity. And once again, we're here to talk with some very special guests today. And we're going to take this journey inwards, trying to find some reasons to develop ourselves to reasons to attain towards more personal growth. So, first of all, I wanted to talk about the 4M TV, which is USA-based TV, and it's a initiative from North America focused on mental health. The four M's stand for mental health, migration, multilanguage, culture, and mindfulness. And we are practicing mindfulness beyond borders. And School of Serenity is a program where we bring hosts and guests every single week, where we go and talk about things relating to mental health and personal growth and any ways that is related to healing in that kind of journey. And today we have very special guest, Altruce, who is my very dear friend. And welcome, Altruce.
Thanks, Rav. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm very glad to have you on the show. I mean, we've been meeting each other in this DC area, and recently we got into this men's group circle too. So we've got to know about each other fairly well. And one thing that I've been fascinated about you is your personal growth too, and your own healing journey, and how you are helping people through your own healing journey and your own personal growth. So, can you start by introducing yourself and how you got into this journey?
Sure. So my name's Altruce. I am a transformational healer and coach and mindfulness teacher and parts work practitioner. Um, let's see. So I kind of started on my healing path in 2013. Um, I was about 26 at the time, I think. And I had just been kind of living a pretty stagnant life, partying a lot, not really taking care of myself. Um, had a lot of different addictions and basically was suffering from depression and pretty extreme social anxiety. Um, couldn't really talk to anybody, couldn't look anyone in the eyes, et cetera, et cetera. Um, and eventually that kind of all culminated and I got into some trouble. And through that process, it kind of like shook me quite a bit. And I started to become aware of kind of like the potential that I had to bring and share with others in a helping way. And this happened transparently. This happened in a jail cell overnight. I kind of had this
Oh,
like mental breakdown, um,
wow.
and I left there the next day like totally like 180. Like, okay, I'm gonna do this differently. Um, and from there, I started meditating. I had always like been interested in things like energy healing, chakras, and like telepathy and meditation, but I had never like applied any of that. And so I started learning meditation. I started learning Reiki. I became a Reiki practitioner like a few months later. Um, and immediately I was struck with the desire to share this with other people. I had received a Reiki session for my first time, and I left there feeling like better than I had could remember feeling in years. And I knew that that's something that I wanted to be able to offer to others. Um, so it really started with doing energy healing practice with myself, with other people, and that evolved into breath work and then, yoga, meditation, exercise, all of the things. Um, and yeah, and so now, I feel like I've gone through a pretty radical transformation over the last 7, 8 years. And it's been very challenging. It's challenged me in every single way. And there's been times when I've shown up for that, and there's times when I have backed down from it, and yeah, kind of run the gamut on that.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. I mean, it's an incredible journey of transformation from what I hear. So, like, it was just that one night in jail cell that really kind of like triggered you, I guess, a positive way to do something better with your life, right? And the
Hmm.
next day you just like decided, right,
Yeah.
to go on a different journey. Yeah, I think that's relatable because sometimes I feel like a lot of us go through this like transformation when we are at the lowest of the like on the bottom, because like I think people also say like when you're at the absolute bottom, the only way you can go to is the top, right? I mean, there's only like the way you can go is up. So yeah, that's really great. That's really great. And since then, like I guess I can relate to that. Even my own personal journey, there was a time where when I was like drinking a lot, partying a lot, and I just wanted it to be over, and there was nothing else that I could rely into, and I feel like this healing journey when I started to like do meditations and things like that, that really helped me a lot too. So I think I can relate to that, and a lot of our audiences can relate to that too, But yeah, that kind of 360 transformation is rare, though definitely.
Hmm.
So when you started getting into the healing journey, like what kind of modalities did you start to get into? Was it always like related to the chakra healing and things like that?
Yeah, so it definitely started with Reiki. I remember like reading about meditation, and for some reason
Hmm.
I had the intuition to receive a Reiki session before I started meditating. I don't know
Hmm.
why I wanted to do it that way.
Okay.
Um, and so yeah, I was really into that, and I did like a year and a half long medical Reiki intensive, um,
Hmm.
which was really powerful and gave me a lot of tools.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, did you get certified then as an instructor, or were you still learning as a student?
Right. Yeah. I learned as a student for that whole year and a half was
Okay.
like a certification program. So I was a student, and then towards the end of it, I was a Reiki master, as they
Oh,
say.
wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So, I can for the people who don't really understand, for example, somebody who's never heard of Reiki, like how would you explain that to them?
Sure. So the first thing I like to say in this is that everything is energy,
Hmm.
and in a practice like energy healing, the practitioner is acting as a conduit for life force energy like chi, prana, ki, shakti. This energy that gives and sustains life. And so in these types of modalities, the idea is that disease and trauma and illness are all like symptoms of an energy body that has distortions or blockages, um, excesses and deficiencies. And so, as the practitioner, you're working to bring balance into that system for yourself and for another person.
Right, right. So, as a practitioner, you have to be able to tune into the other person's energy too, right?
Yeah, totally. It really starts with your awareness of your own energy. And
Okay.
when you have that, like, that foundation, then you can start to extend that into being with somebody else and kind of like sensing what's going on in their energy field.
Got you, got you.
Mhm.
And is Reiki something that people can do it by themselves too? Like, for example, if I feel like there's some deficiency in my energy and I might not be like really equipped socially or like, just emotionally to get some outreach for like, and like call for some help, right? So is there a way like people can try that to themselves to see like, okay, wow, yeah, this actually works?
Yeah, for real, for sure. Well, we all have the innate ability to channel energy, move energy through us. If you've ever like hit your knee on something, the first thing that you do is put your hands on that area. And that's because we have this instinct that we know that we're able to heal ourselves. And so, if you just practice meditation, anybody can do that anywhere. And that is a way of drawing energy into your body. And the intelligence of your body knows what to do with that to help you heal. And then in terms of like something like Reiki, like I said, we all have the innate ability to do that. And it's really just a matter of having the intention and desire to do that for yourself. That being said, getting like a training or something does help to kind of like open the field up more and allow you to do it at a greater degree. But it's definitely not necessary if you're just working with yourself.
Got you, got you. And I guess there's a lot of it comes through like mindfulness too, right? Just being like aware of your body, right, and your energy in general.
Yeah, for sure. Like if you can kind of tap in and see, like, if you practice, you can go in and see where there feels like there's energy pushing out, or there's like a lack of energy, or etc. And you can become aware of those things. Then you can treat yourself appropriately.
Right, right. And I remember last time when we were at that ecstatic dance event, we were talking about, interoception, trying to where we can actually tune into like the different parts of our body, like kind of almost in this like meditative state, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you think like people might be able to access that if they're just like by themselves?
Sure. The first practice that would be required, or I don't know if require is the right word, but helpful in cultivating that awareness, is just mindfulness meditation. That to me is like the key to a lot of things. And it's through that practice that we can become aware of different sensations in the body, and different where we're holding tension, or like noticing our shoulders slump forward, or my hand tends to tense up when I'm trying to relax it, or whatever. It's through that practice of mindfulness that we can develop that interoception and really be able to zoom in on those areas.
Yeah, and that's amazing, because I feel like sometimes when I'm meditating, because I do transcendental meditation too, right? And there's not much going on. You're just basically repeating a mantra by itself, and it starts to become like this pattern where it's like scanning different parts of the body. I mean, it could be just me, but that happens to me every once in a while when I'm meditating, right? And sometimes I just realize that there's sort of certain kind of tightness in my body, right? And at first it feels like you don't want to focus there, but if you just stay there for a while, it feels like like the energy is clearing up or something is happening, and like all of a sudden it starts to feel more relaxing, like almost like
Mm.
you're feeling this sense of relief, like that. And I wonder if interception is kind of similar in that way, like where you're just like kind of trying to focus on the parts where even where there's like more tension, and you start like releasing them like slowly.
Sure. Yeah. So just some thoughts about that. Interoception is really, it's really just like the ability to perceive that there's something in your body, and
Mhm.
then that comes into play through these practices where, say like you're meditating and you notice that, oh, there's tension in my chest. Then you can go into that area and utilize interoception to
Mm.
kind of like dissect it and get more aware of it. And as you do that, like you said, that tension tends to unravel. Um, and that's something that comes into play when in like different trauma healing modalities. It's vital that uh, the practitioner is able to help their client cultivate that awareness, so that
Mhm.
when they have these big energies coming up in their body, they're able to be present to them throughout the whole unwinding process, instead of like maybe the typical um, response is to feel the pain or feel the tension and then move away from it or
Mhm.
push it back down. And it's through this cultivation of presence and interoception that we're able to stay with it and let it release itself.
Mm. That's wonderful. Um, so how do you think trauma affects the energies inside of our body? Like for example, like if somebody who has like social phobia, for example, right? They I think that might have been caused by some kind of trauma in the past, right?
Mhm.
How does it affect the energy inside of us?
Sure. So, um, I guess, well, I'll start by just giving a definition of trauma,
Hmm.
which is so trauma is not necessarily an event. However, it's how your nervous system, it's a state that your nervous system can get stuck in whenever the cycles of like moving through parasympathetic to sympathetic, back to parasympathetic, get frozen. So, say you're, driving your car and for a split second you see that there's another car coming to hit you, and so your body goes into fight, flight, or freeze, and maybe you put your hand up to protect yourself, but the car hits you and you don't get to fully do that action. So, and you're injured as a result. So your body is going to store that moment because the activation cycle wasn't able to complete itself. So you could have, this reoccurring dream of having a car come at you, or you might notice that your arm is like twitching because your body has stored that muscle movement. Um, and so, yeah, trauma can really manifest in many different symptoms, like you said, social anxiety, um, being hyper alert all the time, like looking out for danger all the time because maybe you were in a situation where danger came and then you weren't able to protect yourself from it. Um, all sorts of things. You can have anxiety, you can depression, uh, mood swings, all sorts of different ways that can manifest. And that comes back to like letting those energies unwind themselves. So whenever we are healing from trauma, a lot of the times, like you'll have that wild, your arm might swing out like that to protect yourself. But if you're with in a safe space and somebody can guide you through that, you can move through that motion very consciously and let your body release that energy, as you're bringing awareness to the sensations that are happening inside as it's happening.
Wow, that's amazing. I never thought of trauma in that way. Yeah, that's interesting. Um, so, do you think like the process of interoception can like be helpful to heal, like just sense the own traumas inside of our body, or I guess those trapped energies inside of our bodies?
Yeah, for sure. That developing the capacity to utilize interoception um, is what ultimately it's a crucial or foundational skill or capacity to have in releasing those trapped energies.
Yeah, I totally can agree with that, and I understand that too because I feel like in my own in the journey I've been trying to heal a lot of my traumas from my past, and a lot of them manifest like in social situations when I'm around like a lot of people, and that starts to it almost feels like a physical sensation, not only emotional, but it's also almost like I feel that's this like tightness in my chest, right? And um, yeah, I mean, when I'm outside, it's kind of hard for me to kind of focus on that because like there's a lot of like impulses coming in, I guess. But if I'm sitting in the quiet by myself and if I focus on that energy, sometimes it starts to just like dissipate away, and I mean things start to make sense, like why things are happening the way they are, why I'm feeling the way I am, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I was wondering if you can give us a demonstration of how, like this process could feel like just trying to sense our own energy, like just trying to be mindful of, like different energies inside of our body.
Sure. Yeah, let me consider how we'll approach this. So, uh, yeah, I'll just do one with you then. So we'll just do a quick little scan through and see what comes up, and if it feels like we could just work with it a little bit, perhaps we will. So I just invite you to just take a moment and find yourself in a comfortable seat, and just let your eyes wander around the space and just notice what you're noticing. And
Do you want me to say it out loud?
yeah, you could if you want to, and you don't have to.
Okay. Yeah, I'm noticing a painting on the wall, and I'm actually in this new space, and it's kind of making me feel really relaxed right now because it's like this Airbnb space I'm staying at for a few days. Yeah.
So you're noticing this painting on the wall. You're in a new space, Airbnb, and so let me know if I'm getting you. So when you see the painting, you're feeling relaxed.
Mm-hmm.
So can you describe that relaxation? Like what's happening in your body when you notice this relaxation?
Like in my chest area, it feels kind of light, and I think my whole body feels kind of light, to be honest.
Sure. So your chest area feels light, your whole body feels light. Can you say more about that lightness? What is there like a quality to it? Is it like airy? Is
Yeah,
it
it's pretty airy. Like the
airy?
breath is kind of like going in and out, like pretty like pretty fluently. I guess that would be the word. Flowy.
Flowy, airy breath going in and out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So just noticing that and being with that for a moment, and then just continue to notice what you notice, see what happens next for you.
I feel a little bit lack of sleep. I guess a little bit tiredness too. Like and on my back, I feel like a little bit tightness actually.
So a little sleepiness, tiredness,
Mm-hmm.
tightness in your back. Can you say more about the tightness in your back?
Um, yeah, it's more like kind of like a backache that I have. It's recurring.
Hmm.
And yes, it. I guess because I also do like a lot of photography, I have like heavy camera equipment on me. Sometimes like it's kind of like creates a lot of tension in the back area, like just kind of running along the lines of the spinal cord.
Mm-hmm.
Like kind of heading down from up here.
Gotcha. So this is like kind of recurring because you're carrying a lot of heavy camera equipment and stuff like that. How do you, when you start to name this discomfort in your back, this tightness, what emotions do you associate with it?
Um, I think there's a little bit sadness too there actually. Like it's a little bit pain and sadness.
Some pain and sadness. And so how do you know that there's sadness? What sensations are associated with sadness?
Um, it's like if I start to focus on that the pain only, and like if I just like focus on it, there's a little bit I don't know, it just kind of like makes the whole like my perception, I guess, a little bit more gloomy in a way. It feels like there's something wrong, or yeah. It's normally if I don't focus on there, like I feel like there's like everything's fine. But yeah.
Sure, gotcha. So everything kind of just becomes a little more gloomy.
Mhm.
Yeah, so just noticing that and just see what happens next.
Yeah, it feels like I'm kind of stuck in the pain right now. Like it's not like really like heavy or like really unbearable pain, but it's kind of like this stabbing kind of, like it's like gently kind of like poking on you like all the time, like almost like a knock at the door that you don't want to receive.
Totally. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So I want to invite you to bring your awareness back out into the space around you and just let your eyes go wherever they go. Just notice what you're noticing.
I feel calm again. I see the different things, like the different decorations and things that are in the room. I see like these little incense sticks that are over there on that nightstand, and yeah, it's pretty relaxing, calming.
Relaxing, calming. Yeah,
Mhm.
beautiful. So, yeah, thanks for allowing me to guide you through that a little bit. Um, we're gonna exit that mode now. Um,
Yeah,
so if you don't mind, I can speak a little bit to that process.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, thank you for guiding me through that too. That was fun.
Yeah, for sure. So anytime you were like naming like tension in the back, um, relaxation, lightness in the chest, these are all things that you become aware of through interoception. And then what we were doing is a process called orienting. So orienting is when you're invited to look around the space, or when you look around the space and you take it in. And when you do that, your nervous system tends to go into a parasympathetic state. Like it's because you can see that you're safe. There's no threats around you. There may be things that bring up good feelings in your body. Um, and then there's also something that was happening called pendulation, which is when we go from being in a pleasureful or positive kind of state to experiencing something painful or not pleasureful, um, and then back into a positive state. So that's something that our nervous system does to kind of regulate itself. When we have pain or trauma to deal with, our
Mhm,
nervous system will naturally go in and out of that pain to kind of like take little bits of it at a time and
mhm.
process through it. And that's part of that like unwinding and releasing process that we were talking about earlier.
That's great. That's great. That felt very good thing to do. Like it was like really awesome, like calming kind of process. Yeah. Also, I think it kind of brought me out of my mind and more in my body. Like now I feel like the energy is more inside my body. But before, like when we were starting the show, I think like the energy was more in my head. I was thinking more rather than just like being in my body.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
And being in your body is also another crucial piece to interoception and then trauma release and healing um, and just being a person. Like we have to be like in our bodies so that we can interact with the world in an effective way.
Right. Right. That's great. That's great. So uh, like how do you suggest like people can adapt this into their daily practice, like if they want to, like whoever is watching it, like how do you think like they could adapt this into their daily practice? Is it something that you recommend?
Yeah, totally. So the first thing I think of when you ask that is um, this experience that I used to have where I would be in meditation and something in the space would happen, like a sound, my cat would walk by, whatever, some kind of stimulus would happen outside of me, and there would be an impulse to look at it, to track it, to see what it was, and I would fight against that impulse. I said, no, I'm meditating. I have to be peaceful. And what I've learned is that that impulse is our nervous system regulating itself. It's we're orienting to our environment, and by allowing ourselves to just kind of like take it in,
Hmm.
um, we can return back into our meditative state way more quickly than if we have this dialogue of like, oh no, I can't do that. I'm meditating. I have to be this way, et cetera, et cetera. So that's just one way you can kind of integrate orienting into your
Hmm.
practice, and you can integrate it into any part of your day, really. Anytime that you enter a new room or a new space with new people, we tend to orient unconsciously. We take a look around at our surroundings, but we can make it a conscious thing and like say, okay, I'm orienting now. I'm taking it in, and as I'm doing that, I'm noticing what's happening in my body. How am I feeling when I see this person or when I see these circumstances come up? I can come back into my body and see like, oh, my heart rate is a little elevated. I feel a tightness in my chest, or my shoulders are relaxed and my hands want to fall down, and my heart feels open. And so we can practice just noticing those things throughout the day.
That's great. That's great. So, I'll just thank you so much for sharing all your awesome insights. I hope, like, the people who are watching this today are gonna be able to learn a lot from the show, just like I did. And yeah, it was such an honor. So, how can people find you? Like, and like if they wanna say like work with you on one-on-one, like energy healing, or they wanna like get you for the Reiki session, like how would they be able to find you?
Sure. Well, right now, my main way of contact is through social media. So you can contact me over Facebook. My page is Light Body Rising. And
Right, right.
yeah, then also on social media, or I mean, on Instagram, it's lightbody.rising.
Mm.
Um, and those are two ways to contact me. You can learn more about me through those outlets as well. And yeah, yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, that's great. And people who are watching this, I highly recommend Altruce for energy healing and any kind of like trauma release work. And if you have any questions to either one of us, feel free to share that with us. And any last words, Altruce, before we end the show?
Hmm. Any last words? That's so ominous. I better pick carefully. Yeah, I guess if you're on a healing path, if it's something that you feel called in to do, either just for yourself or for other people, um, this is a challenging path, and it takes a lot of courage to move through it. And it's wise to allow yourself. I think it's wise to allow yourself to reach out and get support when you need it, either from a therapist or a practitioner or your community, and really see what communities you gravitate towards, because being in community when you're doing this work is very important, very helpful, and just keep showing up for it. You're going to have good days and bad days, so just keep going. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I highly agree with that statement right there. That's amazing. Thank you so much again, Altruis, and I
Thank you,
hope
Rob.
you enjoy the rest of your day. And everyone, if you want to contact Altruis, contact him through his Facebook and Instagram page, Light Body Rising. And with that being said, guys, enjoy your Sunday. We'll see you again next week. All right. Thank you. Bye bye. Okay.